Hello everybody, welcome back to In the Spotlight. I'm your host Nick Perez, along with my co-host
Luke Monig. Today we're interviewing Dr. Sharma with two guest interviewers. So,
stay tuned and watch.
thank you.
Hello everybody, this is In the Spotlight. I'm your host Nick Perez.
I'm Luke Monig.
I'm Bethany Jacobs. And I'm Lux.
And today we're interviewing our star guest, Dr. Sharma. So, Dr. Sharma, how long have you been here at Franklin?
This is my third year.
Third year.
Yeah.
Okay. And what made you choose Franklin? What made you?
I moved to New Orleans so that my girls could go to Franklin. They just graduated from Franklin. I moved to New Orleans so the girls could get this education that we provide at this school. I was in Mississippi before. And they graduated. I loved everything I was hearing about the school from them and their classes and what they were learning. So I was really happy that we made that choice and continue to be happy that we made that choice. And they're now in college.
What classes do you teach here?
I teach AP Psychology, which is a full year class. I also do AP Psychology Research. There are two options. I do a honors psych, which is a one semester class, and sociology honors, which is also a one semester class, and ACT prep, so both semesters, but also a semester class.
What grades are those classes for?
For AP Psychology, it's juniors and seniors. For honors, it's sophomore and up, so I get sophomores, I get seniors, for both honors psych and sociology. For ACT prep, I usually have seniors and juniors. Not seniors, I'm sorry, sometimes seniors, but sophomore as well, sorry.
So, what are some of the clubs we sponsor here at Franklin?
So, I am the sponsor for Black Girls United. I am the sponsor for the Health and Wellness Club. I'm the sponsor for the Feminist Club and Young Women for Social Justice and the Period Movement Club. So there's a theme.
So what has the Period Movement Club done at Franklin and beyond?
So it is a national movement. So we have a chapter here, and we had a couple of seniors last year who had wanted to start it. Actually 2 years ago, they wanted to start it, and they asked me if I would sponsor it. So some of the stuff that they did, or the mission of the national organization, is to end period poverty. Specifically in schools, prisons, and women's shelters, but also nationally. One of the issues is that we get taxed for tampons and pads, and also if you're, say, in a women's prison, you have to buy it, and at high schools usually, or schools, you have to buy it. So they want it to be accessible and available to everybody for free. There is some legislation that's gone through to Louisiana. It has not passed. But it is to ask that all schools provide period products for anybody who menstruates for free in all schools in Louisiana.
And what is period poverty? Because it's kind of a strong term that seems central to this, but some people watching may not.
Okay, yeah. So the idea is that a lot of people, and especially working class women and women living in poverty, women in prisons, women in shelters, and young people struggle to pay for period products. So we want it to be readily available and free for, at least for students here, and that's the legislation, but actually it's for nationally.
So you said you want to be able to give everybody the products they need for free. How do you do that, or how does your club do that?
Oh, good question. So last year we had a fundraiser. So we also had donations. So there's two parts. One was to raise money to buy period products, and the other one was to have students donate period products. The club also made sort of these homemade heat packs They're made with just cloth. We had a bunch of people come and sew them together, and you can put rice in them or beans in them. You stick them in a microwave for a minute, and they heat up, and it feels really great for someone who might be cramping or uncomfortable. And I have those in my class, so I'm super excited. And I also have period products in my class available for free. And so the idea was that we would have them in the bathrooms here. Currently, I think we do have some in the bathrooms for sure, but previously kids had to pay for them, so now I think that they actually have free, what are those machines?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So we raise funds, and with those funds, they purchased period products, and they donated them, I believe, to a shelter and a, I'm not sure what it's called. Is it like Covenant House? Is that a?
That's an organization.
No, I know that, but what kind of organization is that for, like teens that are homeless, right, and struggling?
Like community outreach.
Yeah. So they've donated so they purchased a bunch of products, they donated them, and they also donated a bunch that they were able to get students to give, and then we kept some so that we can then provide for our students here too.
Are there any upcoming fundraisers or drives for the club?
Yeah, I think they're gonna do like a bake sale, but because of our start-stop, they haven't been able to meet as much as they'd like to, so they're just kind of getting off of their feet, and I would suggest that you ask them.
Yeah, and when does Period Club usually meet?
I'm not quite sure yet because we had to sort of shift around. I think it was on Wednesdays, but I can find out.
I had a question. I'm going to edit myself
Yeah.
out. But you mentioned all of your clubs, and you mentioned the theme. I'm really interested in that. Can you talk about like what basically what unites these clubs and why it's important to you?
You know, it's kind of a bit of both. I think that they're attracted to me, and I was attracted to those clubs as well. I can talk about Black Girls United specifically because I used to have some kids. I teach in room 101, 201, and there's the landing. So I would have kids sitting there, and I would often hear them talking, African American students, and talking about what they were reading in class, how they felt about it, and sometimes it was difficult for them to talk about this, and they were women, so I suggested, hey, why don't we have a club that you can mentor, support, because I imagine the experience of being Black and a woman is different, and especially different in Franklin as well. So super happy that they decided. I wanted to call it Black Girl Magic, but they changed it to Black Girls United. And they met a few times last year, and they did great stuff like, you know, some of our seniors were going through the college process. So they had juniors and sophomore come in, and they talked about that. So they were doing a lot of mentoring when we had to choose courses. They had a workshop on ask anything about the courses and the teachers so that we can pass on that information. I think the reason why I found it interesting is because many years ago in a high school, I had something called a girls club, and it was just really a space for young girls to sit around and talk about their experience as being young women and teenagers, and there was no agenda, but it was really wonderful, and it was meaningful to me, but also to the young women. So that's something that I always enjoyed. The Young Women for Social Justice, my girls were a part of that, and I recall going to a women's march with that group at one point in time. That wasn't when I was teaching at Franklin, so I kind of knew about that group. So the presidents asked me if I would be a sponsor. The period movement, I had a couple of students in my class, and I guess maybe it's because of the subjects I teach, but you know, I identify as a feminist, and I make that known, and maybe I don't know, symbiotic relationship there.
Can you explain what that means, like, to you?
Feminist
Yeah.
is somebody who fights for human rights. Because we're all human. And so, and believes that women are a part of that process, and so highlighting that really.
So I know there's a lot of students who come to eat lunch in your class and have that sort of community aspect. What do you think, whether it's the subjects that you teach or the club that you sponsor, draws such students to you?
I think it's my microwave. You know, I'm not sure. Some of them are my students. Some of them are people I do not teach. I've also done the Summer Institute. So I always told the freshmen coming in, hey, you know, it's kind of awkward when you're new to the school. And so lunch is that time where you're like, oh, like classes, you have people you sit beside or you have directives from the teacher, but lunch is that time where you're like, oh, where do I go? Where are my peeps? So I always make sure that those freshmen and those new students know that they can always come to my class. So I did notice that there was a group of those people. Some of them were just my girls and their friends, and some of them were theater kids. I don't know. Maybe it's my classes, but a lot of those kids I don't teach. I have done this. If I do see a child sitting by themselves, I want to make sure they're sitting by themselves by choice. So I always say, hey, you know, if you're looking for a place to eat lunch, you can go to room 201. So, but if they say they're happy, then I respect that choice too.
Yeah, I'm a transfer, and when I came in, I like could not find anyone to sit with. And then someone from your honor psych class was like, oh, I eat lunch in here. And I was like, bet. So that's kind of, now I kind of bounce around, but that was really like one of the first spaces where,
Right.
but I would also say like your classroom is very inviting. Like
Oh
all
yes,
of
I do
the
have good
seating,
seating.
the seats, the little
Forgot about that.
stationary bike.
Yes, it's really important to me that my students are comfortable. We spend 7.5 hours in this place. So I do have alternate seatings. I have cushy seats, I have a papasan chair, I have a little stationary bike that, you know, if you feel like you need to move in class, and you can do that when you're in my class, and you can do that at lunch too, but you know, I homeschooled my girls for a little bit when they were young, and what I learned from that is you can learn under your covers all snug. You can read there, you can do math there, you can, I knew that every time my girls were working, if I gave them a little snack, they'd work a little longer. So I kind of, and I also believe that it was important to have art and beautiful colors. I like colors. So my room has a lot of tapestry as well. So I think one should be hydrated, fed, feel comfortable, can move. All of those things we know help us learn.
You spoke on this a little bit, but how do you think what you've learned, like in school as far as your degree, because you are a doctor, has helped you and taught you as a teacher?
That's a good question. So I went to school in Canada, and in Canada it's a little bit different. Your undergrad is different from your bachelor's in education. It's a separate degree. It's actually quite competitive. And you have to do like a year or two of volunteer work in a classroom before you can be a competitive candidate. So, but the one that I was invited to participate was in anti-racist diversity bachelor's in education. And I loved it. The idea was that you were working in diverse classes and you were paired up. And so I always say I'm an anti-racist. That's the educator that I am. That's the lens through which I look at. But really what it's looking at is systems of oppression, right? Because racism is a system. So that has always informed my teaching. But my PhD is in sociology and equity studies in education. So I've always done research within the educational field, looking at how teachers understand and mitigate racism, sexism, homophobia in their classes. That has always informed my teaching.
I think we're really cooking, but I want to leave some time for the second part where we go outside. So let's wrap it up with, we should bring it back to y'all. I'm just thinking to throw the question of, like, you said something like this to Miss Pam, like essentially like, what do you love about Franklin? It was something like that. And that's generally a good like note to end it
Just
on.
that. What do you love about Franklin?
Yeah, or sort of phrasing it somehow like that. It's like sort of something positive that you like is a good way to end. So, which is how you did Miss Pam. So,
For our final question, what do you love about Franklin?
What I love about Franklin, I was really overwhelmed in a good way by how sweet our students are. You know, I've always worked at alternative schools, and sometimes we don't always treat those children really well, so I think compassion is really important. Personally, as a mother, I feel like if I've taught my child empathy, I've done my job. And I feel like our students are quite bright, but when we talk about intelligence, they also have a high degree of emotional intelligence. I really love that, I appreciate that. But I also learned about Franklin through my daughters and their teachers. So I would hear about their teachers more. And I love that I work in a place where the staff is also committed to their craft, to their own professionalism. They're constantly learning. I think our staff mirror our students, or do our students mirror our staff? I'm not sure. But they're all people who seek, who love learning and seek to better their bodies and their brains.
Okay.
Okay, well, that
So,
wraps it up. That's our last question.
And of course,
Thank
I
you.
love goofy pictures of my students.
But, you know, kids send me notes all the time, and honestly, it's the most meaningful thing rather than a gift. And I always ask students if they want to give me something, then just write a note. And so I started putting up these notes and these little thank you things, and I love them because they remind me of how fabulous our kids are. And of course, my goofy pictures, which I love to have.
Are these all from Spirit Week?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I also got some of these because I teach psych. So I'm always trying to get my messages out there. I think I try to use psychology to teach psychology. So I really want my students to be able to take some real life skills for their own lives and their own mental health and apply them.
Which one are you feeling right now? Tell yourself.
I'm usually pretty happy, excited, and probably maybe shy because I'm on camera.
Yeah, I would say right now, I'm this guy. I'm pretty happy.
You're pretty happy too. Yeah.
I like your room a lot.
Thank you.
Things
Yeah, there's always sort of things for kids to do. I really want kids to know. Can you grab that one? I really want kids to know how to apply psychology in their lives. So there's all kinds of messages around the classroom, but these are healthy
skills,
coping skills
calming
and
strategies.
calming strategies. Yeah, and there's other posters around the classroom that speak to that as well.
But O doesn't exist.
Hello. Welcome to my room. I have lots of pictures of my students. I love to put pictures of my students up. If my students don't want to be filmed or in a picture, guess what happens? They get a portrait. But this is my room. Welcome. Come on in.
So, you talk a lot about all of the things you have in your classroom. Can you show us
Sure.
where they are?
Come on in. So if you look in the corner there, I've got a papasan chair, I've got some comfy chairs, I've got a stationary bike. I've also got books because we don't have a library, so I have books that students can just take out. All the art in my room is by students from Franklin, right behind you. We have these beautiful art artists, and so I just take their stuff and I post them in my room. So all of this art is done by my students as well. I think it's important to have beautiful color and art around you. I've got my tapestries up. This is Ganesh, who is a Hindu god, who is someone who removes obstacles from your way and your learning, and is there to kind of help you along. I also usually have treats for my students, but I do have food here. I think it's important to not be hungry. And of course I have my microwave, which is why I think students really come here. But beside that, we have, this is the Period Club, and we have period products. We have some more down there, so there's all kinds. And then the Period Movement group created these, which I think are really quite beautiful. They sat down one day, and they're made from rice and beans. You stick them in the microwave for a minute, and they're a heat pack. And I encourage all students to use it, and I would love for you guys to also spread the word.
I'll take care.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Make sure to stay tuned for next week. There's a new In the Spotlight segment coming your way.
It's called When I Was at Franklin, so thank you and stay tuned.